Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Jordan. I'm in my car right now. It's my lunch break at work because this is the only time that I have uninterrupted to myself. It's the only time I can get a video made, so I am taking it while I have it. We're just gonna consider it a casual change of pace from my normal filming setup and background. But this is my March TBR. Spoiler for my February wrap up, but I read a ton of books in February, and so I am looking to take a little bit of a break in March, have a little bit of a breather, read fewer books, hopefully enjoy them more, but just have more time for myself to do other things. So my TBR is pretty short. If I get to more books than this, that's great, but I'm setting my expectations low because again, I just need a little bit of a break. And you will see my February wrap up go up very shortly, so I'll fill you in on why I read so much, what did I read, did I like it, all of that. So March, the first book I want to read is tied to a very fun announcement, which is that I am going to be co-hosting Jesse's book club over on Reading with Jess. She does a monthly book club where she has a guest host come every month and pick a book to read, and she has a live show at the end of the month where her and the co-host discuss the book. So she picked me to be her co-host in March, and I'm so excited. We are going to be reading The Good Samaritan by John Marth. I picked this book because I've only read one John Marth book so far. I absolutely loved it, and I know that a couple of his other books are very, very popular here on BookTube. I hear a lot of good things, but he has a bigger backlist, and I don't hear as much about those backlist books and whether or not they're good, but they do seem to have pretty good ratings on Goodreads. And since Jesse's book club focuses mostly on backlist mystery thrillers, I thought it was the perfect fit and the perfect time to attempt reading one of them. So The Good Samaritan, I don't know a ton about it, but I think it's about this woman who is like a crisis line worker. Like, she answers the phone and talks to people in crises, and I think she becomes really attached to someone on the other line, and then it becomes a thriller from there. I don't know, like I said, the ratings were good on Goodreads, and so I was just intrigued to read it. So if you would like to join Jesse's book club for this month and read this book and talk about it with us on her live show, hopefully you'll be able to find this book at your library or maybe on some audiobook apps. I haven't really looked around, but our live show for that, I believe, is going to be the 24th, which is a Thursday night, March 24th at 8 p.m. Eastern. So definitely set your reminders, put it on your calendar to go to Jess's channel at that date and time and tune in to talk to us about the book. The next two books I'm hoping to make into a video. These are both personalized recommendations that I got from my friend Gwen over on her channel, Gwendolyn Kensinger. She has her BookTube channel, but then she also has a bookish podcast, and as part of that podcast, she has a Patreon where you can join and get some added like features and behind the scenes stuff for her podcast and things like that. And one thing she offers is personalized book recommendations. So she will go onto your Goodreads and look at what you've read in the past and what you've liked and maybe your want to read shelves and recommend books to you. And she picked two for me. I believe they're both science fiction books because I've said recently that I want to get more into science fiction. So she knew that, and she recommended two books that I want to read for a video. So the first one that she recommended is called Lara and the Sun by Kazuo Ishiguro. I'm gonna look that up, how to say that, before the video. But this is a science fiction book. I guess this author has won the Nobel Prize in Literature in the past, which is kind of cool. And it looks like it may have to do with artificial intelligence, and Clara is an artificial friend who is at a store hoping somebody picks her to be their artificial friend, and things happen. So that sounds very intriguing to me. I don't know a lot about it. I had never heard of this before Gwen recommended it to me, but she also picked up a copy because she wants to read it as well. So that's going to be very fun for us to kind of buddy read it, talk about it with each other. And then the other book that she recommended is called Rabbits by Terry Miles. And I'm gonna have to look up this one again to see what it's about. It says it is a techno thriller in which a deadly underground alternative reality game might just be altering reality itself, which is honestly all I need to know. I love sci-fi books that are about video games, especially video games that have to do with like alternate reality or augmented reality or virtual reality, all of that. Like Ready Player One and Slay is one of my favorite books that has that same concept. So I'm super excited. So I'm going to be reading those two books and maybe a third in this video idea I have for March. And then the other three books that I have on my list are just books that I own that I want to get to. I only have like 10 books left on my physical TBR, which is pretty wild, and I would love to keep reading those books to just have read all of the books that I own and have owned for a while, but I do plan on also doing like a book shopping spree in the somewhat near future to build it back up. So I don't know if I'll get all the way to 0 before doing that, but that's also in the future. Expect a book haul. But the first book that I want to get off my shelves is A Beautifully Foolish Endeavor by Hank Green. This is a sequel to a book called An Absolutely Remarkable Thing. These are sci-fi books about this girl named April who one day she lives in New York City and she happens upon this like statue that erected out of nowhere, and she made a video about it. She went viral because of that. So it's about her not only trying to figure out what is this statue, is it like an alien thing, and then also navigating this newfound internet fame. So it's kind of a cool mix between like the alien sci-fi, but then also very real life sci-fi, real life technology, and all of the issues that go along with it. So that was the plot of the first book. I'm gonna have to read a refresher of that first book before I read the second book, but the reason I really want to get to this month is because my husband also has read this series. He just read the second book and he wants me to read it so we can discuss it. So it's going to be a high priority to get to this month, and I'm very excited to do so. And then the last 2 books on my March TBR are 2 Colleen Hoover books. I have read all of Colleen Hoover's standalone books. She's primarily a contemporary romance writer with a couple of other genres sprinkled in between sometimes, but I have not read any of her series yet. So I have 2 books that are the start of 2 different series, Hopeless and then Maybe Someday. I haven't heard amazing things about her series, but I still love Colleen Hoover and I want to read all of her books that she's ever written, so I want to get to these somehow. Hopefully I do find them enjoyable enough to continue on in the series, but even if I don't fall in love with them, hopefully I enjoy them enough and they're enough of like a break, because they'll be fun contemporary romances kind of in between those harder hitting sci-fi and thriller books that I mentioned earlier. So that is it for my March TBR. I do also have one other fun announcement to make at the end of this video. Once again, I will be joining Gwen on her channel to do a live wrap up, which is something she's been doing monthly this year. Jessie and I joined her in January and we'll be joining her again in March to wrap up our reading. It's just a fun live show event for us to talk about the books we read with actual people versus just a camera. So if you would like to join that, you can ask us questions, you know, live on the spot and we can answer them. And otherwise we'll just be talking to each other about like our favorite books of the month, our least favorite, what books we would recommend to the most amount of people, even if we didn't love them ourselves, things like that. Some fun kind of like superlative-y type questions about our reading months. So that's gonna be super fun. I don't have a date or time for that yet, but when I do, I will, you know, post it on the social medias. Just kidding, I do know. Sorry that you can definitely hear my baby making a huge mess and a lot of noise. Okay, live show is going to be on Sunday, March 27th at 8 p.m. Eastern on Gwen's channel, so I will see you there. So that is it for my TBR and announcements. Please let me know what you are planning on reading this month, and if you had a good February reading month as well, I'd love to hear. And other than that, I don't think I have anything else, so thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in my next one.